Hello all, Dr. Caroline Carpenter back. And just so you know, kind of like categorizing what I do, I help soul-aligned women ditch amygdala hijack so that life gets easier and business gets better. What does this mean? Let me tell you. I'm going to attempt to recap the Amygdala Reset 6-week accelerator that we are coming up on week 6 in, and it is fantastic. Why the amygdala? All right, let me tell you about this. It is a piece of anatomy that everyone has. The whole purpose it has is to remember all the traumatic or scary events or potentially life-threatening events. I say it in quotation because what's life-threatening at 2 may not be life-threatening at 35, or what's life-threatening at 0 to 2 months might not be life-threatening at 60 years old. So what the amygdala does is it stores in its little memory bank snippets of the worst of what has ever happened that was scary to remind you to not do the thing. Now, here's how that's a problem. It's not stored in chronological order. You see, the way the body works is it stores things in really small pieces of pictures and sound. So images and sound, that's it. And so if you've ever seen anyone get flashbacks, or if you've ever yourself just felt something wild that felt dangerous and you didn't know why, and there was nothing in your environment you could piece together, that's what happened. It just got activated. Your amygdala just said, hello, no, we can't do that. We don't know. We haven't survived that. So what the amygdala does is it keeps you safe so that you don't attempt anything you haven't already survived. You see, this is locked in at 7 years old, believe it or not. That is where the 7 to 9 year cycle came from. If you haven't heard the 7 to 9 year cycle, it is the 7-year cycle that tends to repeat in finances, business, relationships, health, you name it. So this pattern is locked in by 7 years old, and it's reinforced from 7 to 14 and put into stone from 14 to 21, and then 21 plus by the time you're 35. It is what it is. So your amygdala remembers everything from 0 to now, and it is stored in fragmented information. And what it'll do, so let me back up. Stop right there about the amygdala. What it does is it picks up on potential threat and presses the red button. Everyone is on the hero's journey. Whether you are an entrepreneur, a solopreneur, a single woman, out there living your best life, whatever it is, whether you work for corporate, whatever you do, whoever you are on your own hero's journey. If you're in a human body, you're on the hero's journey. Now, if you've not seen it, it's pretty cool. Look it up, Google it. You're on it. The question is, are you moving or are you stuck? You see, there's 3 places in that hero's journey where the amygdala will fire like crazy. Answering the call to adventure, tests enemies and allies, death and rebirth. So death and rebirth is also the belly of the whale, also dark night of the soul. So many people get stuck in one of these and think, wow, why do I keep reliving this? Well, you didn't finish the hero's journey. You see, each hero's journey is a full amygdala reset. When the amygdala resets, it raises the bar on what a threat is. By raising the bar, I mean lowering the threshold. I mean, okay, my human can have more leash. I'm going to be more lenient on what I'll allow them to do because they survived that thing. I'll trust them. This is how that works. This is why some people's risk tolerance is really high and some people's is really low. Not to be confused with carelessness or recklessness. Risk tolerance is not reckless. Risk tolerance is calculated risk. Now, in this, the body plays a large role. There are 2 ways to activate the amygdala: thinking your way into it, or your body picking up on threat and triggering it from the inside. So there's the front door approach, which is the old brain here, the problem solver, and the back door approach, which is whatever's inside of your body activates and hijacks you. Either way, amygdala hijack sucks because that thing you really wanted to do, well, it doesn't seem like an option now. So that is why ditching amygdala hijack is so important to get to the damn goal. So let me walk you through this. With the mind, we're going to set that aside. The mind is a problem solver. When you're walking around life with the problem solver leading the way, guess what you're going to find a lot of? Problems. There's a difference between problems getting you stuck and growth-oriented problems. Problems as a result of growth versus problems as a result of sabotaging. Self-sabotaging problems are thinking your way out of doing everything you know you need to do for yourself, or doing everything unimportant. Growth-oriented problems, or problems as a result of growth, are aligned action problems. You're taking the action and a natural bottleneck comes up, and now it's just another problem to solve. Not a big deal. Entrepreneurs do this over and over and over and over again. New problems are good. That means progress is being made. That means more connections, more relationships, more money. Even in relationships, there will be growth-oriented problems, or problems as a result of going deeper together, getting more intimate together. It is required to go deeper and release the new bottlenecks. So with the body, there are 3 things the body does, or 3 things the body contributes to what you're getting out of life. First of all, your frequency level. And you may be familiar with this for manifestation, or raising your frequency, or raising your vibe. Here's the thing. 90% of all of you, 90% of everything bringing you your reality is stored at the unconscious level. What this means is those default programs are running the show. 90% of what you learned was from 0 years to 7 years old, even in the womb. Whoever you were around, you absorbed their programs. So if you were around people who managed relationships and money with chaos and conflict, or who had just completely disassociated, or who had, avoidant or anxious or disorganized attachment style, or, can't hang on to money, can't hang on to relationships, or has commitment issues, or if there's really toxic internal thoughts, those will be programmed into you by default. It's by design. We were meant to pass down healthy programs, and if the work isn't done, an old outdated program is being passed down, it will continue to get bigger and bigger and bigger. For example, different programs were required to survive and thrive during the Great Depression than now. Totally different programs. But if nobody ever did the work on passing those programs down, there's going to be some really old, outdated stuff passed into the genetic line. So, the body is like a storage container. There are required programs and optional programs. The required programs are the things like lungs knowing when to breathe, heart knowing when to beat, brain being connected with body and giving information, brain taking in information from the body, muscles working, liver functioning, pancreas doing its thing, digestion. Those are required programs. They don't take up much space, believe it or not. The optional programs are, and only 10% of that program is perceiving pain, by the way. 10% of your program is perceiving pain. 10% is prefrontal cortex, aka thinking. The other 90% of that is unconscious. In there are the programs of how to receive love, how to receive money, how do I feel love, when do I need to go to the bathroom, when do I know when to eat, how do I feel fulfilled? How do I know it's safe enough to go to sleep? What are my hopes and dreams? What are my goals? What do I see as an opportunity? What do I see as a threat? That is all your other programming. These are optional, and these are directly inherited from whoever kept you. Not necessarily parents. If you were adopted, you're going to get that genetic stuff too, and you're also going to get rubbed off onto you what everyone's doing around you from 0 to 7. So, that is an important piece of the pie that most people would never think to address, and is terrifying to most people because it's unknown. The good news is when you get there, your life gets easier and business gets better, and so does love. So, those programs are going to take up a certain amount of space. Now, the more space being taken by programs, programs are going to take a required amount of space. Whatever happened that's unprocessed, highly charged emotions, significant emotional events, trauma, that will be stored at the unconscious level. Whatever was too much too fast, like if an adult level thing happened when you were 2 or 3, that's going to be repressed. It takes 3 to 6 more times energy to keep that repressed at the unconscious level than to pull it up and out and move forward. However, The body will keep it repressed until the unconscious mind feels safe, and the unconscious mind requires another human for relational healing. So put that aside. Whatever is stored that was never processed, like think of a storage unit, all the things you're not using that you might use later, but you don't know if you'll ever need and you don't want to go through it, throw it in the storage unit. If your body is full to 90% capacity with, required programs to run your organs and all the other programs or all the other significant emotional events, highly emotional experience, repressed, old, nasty stuff you don't want to look at because you don't know how or you don't even know it's there. Let's say you're at 90% capacity. You have 10% space allowed for new. For those of you familiar with manifestation, this is how much space you have for manifestation. And action takes a lot of energy. And if you have so little left that you have 10% left for the new to come in, it's going to take a long time and a big workaround to get those goals and dreams and that new life. So battery level is how much energy you have available as a result of what your body is storing, the optional programs that may be outdated, and the repressed significant emotional events and negative heavy emotions. Those will all take up space. You need your required programs. The optional programs you want to make sure are up to date, and any old, outdated junk that has been passed down or that was never processed, you definitely need that. That has to be addressed, or that will suck all of the energy up for the new dreams and goals and the creativity and the manifestation. So that is battery level / storage. That will, whatever is stored, that repressed stuff will directly impact your frequency. So no matter how much mindset or manifestation practices you're doing, as soon as you relax out of the 90% of the time, whatever's hanging out at the unconscious level in that storage unit, that stuff that's hanging out, that old, unprocessed, repressed heaviness, that is going to be the determiner of your default frequency. As soon as you fall asleep, that's what takes over. And that is the fastest way to know where your baseline frequency is. What's the first feeling or emotion that hits you in the morning? Mine used to be dread. That used to be what I manifested with, dread, when I wasn't paying attention. Like as soon as I would stop focusing on something and relax, whatever matched dread came to me. So that is a quick way to figure out where's your frequency level. Now the battery level is going to be determined by how much stuff your body is storing that's unnecessary and the datedness of the programs. Are your programs up to date? What junk that's of no use are you storing? And that junk of no use that you're storing will directly impact frequency. Now, activation level is how activated is your amygdala at rest. People with PTSD and CPTSD are going to run about 50 plus when everyone else is at 0. So, knowing where your activation level is, it's a little trickier, but you're going to know what hijacks your amygdala, because it's usually the whole, oh my God, why did I do that again? What the hell was I thinking? I don't know why I reacted like that. Like, I don't know. It just like, I'm overcome, I'm overtaken, I can't help it. Any words like that, amygdala hijack. Or that whole, I don't know why I keep not doing what I know I should be doing. I don't know why I keep self-sabotaging. Also amygdala hijack. There's very quiet ways to amygdala hijack and very outwardly expressive ways. Intermittent explosive disorder is one of the most extreme versions of amygdala hijack. Quietly people pleasing is one of the most quiet versions of amygdala hijack. Both forms are self-sabotaging and will take you directly away from success and keep you stuck on the hero's journey. So we've covered battery levels, storage, how storage affects frequency, how the programs, whether they're updated or not, taking you toward your goals or not. What's left? Activation level. The way you manage your activation level is a few ways. Now, I should save all of this till the end, but to get your activation levels under control, the fastest way is to clear out all that repressed gunk in your storage unit that's taking up space and impacting your frequency level and your battery level. So usually when people start working with me, their energy skyrockets, their head will clear after the fact, and their body feels better. because it's like a 5-in-1 hit just to get amygdala hijack. Past that, it's daily routine. Are you meditating? Are you mindful? Are you aware? Do you know your boundaries? Do you know what your emotions mean when they show up? Anger is the number one emotion saying, hey, my boundary has been violated, whether it was by me or someone else. What happened here? So knowing what emotions mean when they show up and figuring out how to fill that need is required. If you don't already know your needs, that is a must. Knowing your needs and knowing what your emotions are telling you is important. But when the emotions don't make sense, aka getting angry for no reason or being irritated all the time or frustrated all the time, something else is going on. That's old stored gunk talking to you, telling you it's time for resolution. So, did I cover everything? Yeah, amygdala activation level, frequency, and battery levels. They are the most efficient way to change any of them is to change all three at once. And it sounds wild. It's not. The hardest thing to do is to try to change one and do nothing about the others because they're all linked and hard to separate. So here's what happens. When you bring your amygdala activation level down, your digestion gets better, your relationships get better, your sleep gets better, your energy levels get better. So many things can be solved by fixing this one thing. And that is why I love doing it. I'm all about efficiency. I am all about big impact and permanent positive change. Now here's caveat. If you like living in amygdala hijack, like if you enjoy living there, here's the thing. Some people get their dopamine and their hormones from the chaos and conflict. That's where we got to change, where you're getting your dopamine and your good hormones from. Got to change that. So once you know where to pull the levers, now you know how to get through the full hero's journey, and you figure out ways to take calculated risks to increase the tolerance of your amygdala, expand your window of threshold, and prove to yourself you can and you will survive changes and risk. And this is where you learn to trust yourself. This is where confidence is built. And this is where showing up big in the world, imposter syndrome melts away. Second guessing yourself melts away. What else melts away? Like comparing yourself to everyone else melts away. Thinking you're not good enough melts away. Overthinking melts away. So many things that so many people try to annihilate this one at a time will just leave when you do this one thing. And I am so excited to continue doing this work and hit all these places at once for the women ready to move forward, full steam ahead. Thank you for listening. I've got 1 week left in this group. It's so exciting. So if you're wondering, well, I don't even know what to do. What the hell do I do? Where do I start? Great question. Great question. There are ways to work with me one-on-one. There are potential group options. And I do lives quite a bit. I have a free event coming up. It's free if you attend live. It will be paid to buy the replay or the recording. Sign up. Catch me on Facebook. DM me. Direct message me if you have any questions. I do have an amygdala reset call that I will gift people if they ask specifically for it. And I usually gift them at my events. And this work is so powerful. And by default, powerful may equal scary if you're used to living outside of your own power. If you're not used to harnessing your power and standing in it and moving full speed ahead with your life, change will feel scary. So, it's always worth it. If it feels scary, just know no one's ever ready to do this level of work. And it is always worth it on the other side. The best time to do it was 10 years ago. The next best time to do it is today. I'm continuously doing my work because here's the thing. The more we grow, the more there is to clear. So that is a good problem. The sucky problem is the one where you're stuck and you don't know how to get out. That's the worst problem. The best problem is a growth problem. I'll take those all day long. Thank you so much for listening. Love you all. Sign up for the next event. It's over relationships. The one after that is over money. The cool thing is they're like this. And I'm bringing my special, let's see, what's it called? Not my special technique. It's my signature information. All this comes from me. I've studied so many things in the past, but I learned best from real life experience. I'm going to share the yucky, nasty stuff and the things that most people don't even talk through. There's the manifest everything you want here. And then there's some things required that a lot of people don't talk about here. I'm going to hit all of it. Love you all. Bye.